Well, definitely got a problem now. All right, let's solve it. There we go. Solving the problem. Solving the problem. Hey everyone. We have a little bag of tricks here. This is basically directly inspired from the Q&A when Matt S. asked, do you have a bag that you always keep with you that's sort of like your solve most problems bag? As with many hackers and hardware people, those bags can grow. Like, how many do you want to solve most problems or every problem you could ever come across? I try not to be that guy who packs everything into a kit and gets so full that he builds another kit, and then you build another, and before you know it, you're just transporting a bajillion pounds of weight with you everywhere you go. That being said, we're not going to call it a locksmithing shop in a bag per se, but a lot of the little fiddly tinkering problems that I wind up solving, much like, you go home on the holidays, you visit relatives. Many of you who have any kind of tech knowledge, like you're cleaning out spyware and bullshit from their computers. So you kind of have your go-to suite of tools that you're like, all right, I can defucculate most of this with, C crap cleaner and, some freeware antivirus. Okay, beep, bop, boop. Okay, you cleaned up. This is kind of my equivalent of that for locksmithing and around the house poking and prodding at various sort of lock and hardware related problems, which happens. I'm either visiting family, like many of you, or you're with friends, or you just get inspired to, you say, okay, well, this lock here, I think we could actually upgrade this, and oh yeah, you want to do some repinning? Like, this is my bag that can do most of that. You've seen a lot of this before, so we're going to go kind of fast. The awesome 6-gun by Vera. This is my absolute favorite of any screwdriver tool. It's just a goddamn dream to work with. I mean, it's locking bits. You can actually interchange the chuck if you need to completely. You can use this with a drill. And I keep, well, a small assortment of things. You've got a Phillips. We've got a little spanner number 6 for card readers, as you can imagine. Some hex, some security Torx are in there, and these are actually security hex as well. But am I going to solve every problem? No, it's for solving, most problems. And by the way, if you're switching back and forth between two different bits all the time, these are fucking adorable. Let's say I need to just, for some reason, I don't want to keep switching tools out. Vera makes these, and they're little baby handles. They're so fucking cute. And yeah, they're just your standard, 1/4-inch hex drive. They're freaking great. And, in a pinch, you never know exactly which direction life's going to turn. And before, just having an extra handle on me, she's got a strong magnet in there, too. That's definitely, as Uncle Bumblefuck would say, that's some neodymium in there. Having the extra little handle job, I really dig on it. And it's too adorable. It's absolutely gorgeous. So let's put our tools away in the order that I found them. What else do we have in the kit? Well, as far as basic hand tools go, you saw some security Torx. I think you've seen this before in an earlier video of mine, right? Security Torx full set. Can I use these on regular Torx bits? Yeah, I totally can. Can I use these in a pinch on, regular hex keys? Don't tell Bobik. I totally will. And in the end, if you can't solve it with most of those things, little Gerber tool. Having a multi-tool around, it's incredibly useful. You've got scissors, blades, you can wrench and reef on a few things with whatever ends you need. Then we get into the sort of locksmithing parts, right? I have spare tail pieces. If I'm swapping out a lock and somebody didn't save all the parts, it's murder to not have a tail piece. This will solve most problems. This is probably, if I'm not mistaken, going to be all my spare springs and everything. Oh, I was smart enough to pack it full of a little bit of something so it doesn't go everywhere. But you can see, this assortment, we've got some anti-bump drivers in there, we've got some spool pins, we've got some other extra stuff. I can fabricable together just about any pin tumbler solution. Even if someone's rekeying a lock, I have enough junk in here that I can pretty much match any standard Schlage or Kwikset or other typical brands' pin sizes. Bunch of little dot magnets. Why do I have them? Well, Honestly, I use these for bypassing door sensors a lot. If I'm working on a door and I'm tired of it yelling at me, I'll just stick one up there so it thinks the door is shut. I've done that, for sort of janky hacker repairs. And occasionally, I will actually I'm working up against a surface. I'll stick a couple of them on a door and I'll throw spare parts on the magnets while I'm working on the door so I don't have to drop them in the dirt. I know some of you have seen this before in previous videos of mine, or in Lockpicking Lawyers video where we bashed out some hinge pins, the little hammerless punch tool. I use this everywhere. I use this on firearm disassembly. I use this, you saw this in a recent video where I replaced a TSA clasp, a little Pelican clasp. Wonderful. Instead of carrying a big ass hammer around, if you're looking for a small bag, this is the way to rock with that. Baterías, spare batteries. I have a bunch of, bright little flashlights. They take CR123s, keep a couple of those. I always keep a couple of coin cells around, little tape on them so they don't short on anything. You'd be shocked how often you might need one or two of these, 2032s or 2016s. These are some of my favorite little batteries. These are called USB cell, and even the logo is, if you can look, it looks like a little USB drive, doesn't it? Yes, because that's what this is. It's a USB rechargeable AA. Does this have as much, chooch factor as a proper AA? No, of course not. You're paying for the rechargeability, but again, you're not looking for a battery that'll last forever. This is, you're on a situation, you've got something the battery died in. Hell, I've put these in my mouse before sometimes when I'm working with my little Logitech mouse, just to get me through the trip, get home, recharge it, deal with it. Tiny stuff screwdriver. This little guy from Weha, from the Germans. Again, working on tiny things, working on little laptop screws, tiny fasteners, you name it. I have never found a better set of tools, honestly, than Vera and Weha from Germany. They know what the hell they're doing. I will definitely agree to that. You can also get these in tamper style as well, but they will charge you all of the dollars. Rear shims. Again, this is sort of like a locksmithy bag, not entirely, but if you're disassembling a lock, maybe we'll actually show, I've had it in my queue for a while to show disassembling and repinning a lock. If you have a lock that you've lost the key to, but you can get the lock apart, like let's say you're in a house and someone says, hey, we've never had a key to this back door, but we never use it, we just kind of flip the deadbolt from the inside, but we want to rekey it. That's a project that you can do, and getting the lock apart with one of these little Weiser style shims, they're not truly Weiser shims, but little rear shims, nice to have around. By the way, if you don't want to go to a locksmith for these, where do you find them? Anybody? Anybody? You take apart little anti-theft tags that come inside of old DVD cases and the like. You can get metal that's almost that size. Calipers. Useful for a lot. Not in their proper case in here, right? They're just kind of thrown in. Why? These are General Ultratech. These are, what, $9? I don't even know what the hell these cost, but they're plastic. They're not a Mitutoyo super high precision job. Who gives a damn if they break? One thing I do always try to do, if you have a battery operated tool, you don't use it a lot, keep that battery isolated out so that when it comes time to use it, it's actually it's doing just fine. It's not, the battery hasn't died, started leaking itself all over the place. It's not a bad plan. When you get tools shipped to you, they're like that. Do that if you're going to be storing them in a little out-of-the-way case for a long time. Now we get the locksmith's tabletop supplies. What's in here? Somebody 3D printed this for me. I'm sure it's on Thingiverse. You know what this is? This is a rear cap remover. You know how normally you have to poke and prod at that little retaining detent and try to spin it off and then it blows everywhere. This will reach right in, grab the little knurling, press down the detent and get that off for you. I wish I could give credit to who gave me this in a lockpick village eons ago, but it was very nice of them. This guy, what do we got here? Well, if you've ever seen my talks about modifying locks so that they can be even more devilish to pick, this is a tiny tap threader, and I can actually cut threads inside of the chambers of certain locks if I'm pinning them up with serrated pins. Again, if I'm taking the time to take somebody's door apart and service their locks, I'm going to do it right. spare parts for my tubular pick. My tubular pick, which I don't have, I have that in my bag of pick tools and the like. Maybe we'll do that in a future video. I don't need the spare parts in that bag. I need the spare parts with me, so they're in this bag. Likewise, everything that ever came with a little, this is actually the adjustment wrench for my impressioning grip. I'm not going to keep it all the time in my main tool bag because I can adjust it only once in a while when I need to. Have this around, nice. Right here, I wish that I could tell you that everyone could afford these. This is a beautiful little custom milled job. This is the smallest pinning tray I've ever owned. It's metal. It's made out of aluminum. I think someone from MIT, one of the MIT lockpicking kids, had this at DEF CON one year. I've made a couple of modifications to it over the years, but you don't have a full workbench and a pinning mat. So many times I've been at a relative's house and you just have your pins lined up here and you're working on something, trying to rekey a lock. And speaking of rekeying, I have a variety of follower tools on me. This is the winner though. The little ball detent follower tool. What this does, as you're working in a lock, this will actually ka-chunk, 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 snap true into each chamber, because this is going to lock into each pin chamber as you advance it or remove it. It won't slip out accidentally on you. Nice big groove so you can lay pins on it while you're repinning. We have a repinning your locks video in a future part of the queue. This will feature heavily in that. Super cheap on the plastique. Why? Well, sometimes you can't use a nice big V-notch like this, depending on the tail side configuration of your plug. So I've got the plastic job with the flat surface and the simple slot, just in case that'll work. This, however, for really weird situations, what is this monstrosity? This is a standard, follower tool, sort of standard, right? I made this out of some clear plastic stock, but if we look under here, my old advice applies. We've got a battery, we've got a little bit of paper that was on that battery. Knock that out of the way. There we go. So, we've freed up our battery from the little plastic dot that was in there. And why would I have a flashlight attached to a follower tool? Well, being able to see down the lock, it's a little hard to tell, but if you're working deep in the recesses of a plug, having light shining through the follower tool on you, really, really helpful. So if you can imagine, deep in the recesses of a plug, if you're trying to drop pins in there, being able to get a little more light so you can actually see what the hell you're doing, that is actually really helpful. Got another pinning tray here. 3D printed, a little bit more space to work. And you can see there's something I've done to both of these designs. Does anyone notice the modification? Something that looks a little non-standard? We'll talk about this in a future video about decoding Medico locks. But I add these very thin slots in the very bottom of the tray. You might not be able to tell what's happening there, but in a future video it'll become very obvious why I like to do that. And nobody else has added that to their design. I think we have ours on Thingiverse. If we don't, I will remedy that. You've seen these when I've talked to Lockpicking Lawyer before, right? Jam pin screws. Easily turn an insecure hinge into a security hinge. I keep a couple around. Every now and then, I wind up using them. People are always grateful when I do, when I show them that vulnerability. I just replace them on my own. I buy a new one. They're not that expensive. And what is this? What is this little makeup tin that I have that's been beat to hell? Well, maybe we'll do a demo of this with the lights off later. This is UV reactive powder. This is UV powder along with a little duster pad. And yes, I do actually, occasionally on jobs, splat this on a surface if I want to see if I can catch some pin codes, or if I want to tell if somebody has been or not been in a certain area. I can come along later with a little UV flashlight that I keep tidied up in here and inspect it. Maybe we'll do a special video just all about that in a future episode as well. Hey, thank you all so much for watching Every week I get such a kick out of the fact that all these things, these various parts and gifts and items that have been in my drawer and in my tool bags, I'm getting to give them away, and it always puts a smile on my face. So I appreciate every one of you who participate and win something from the Prize Pelican. This week, I'm a pretty big guy, but this is a little too big for me. It was originally made, actually, this survival bracelet, as a survival anklet. But maybe you're just, like super beefy, just like, I'm jacked. And you've never found... Have you been tired of never finding a survival paracord bracelet that can fit a man and a woman of your stature? Well, that could be this. And this is actually one of the SearPick-enabled ones that has a covert handcuff key inside. If you would like to win this, if you would like to have this, what you do is down in the comments, you use the word of the week, which is always different each week. It's always some sort of tasty goodness that I like to put in myself. We just made this amazing dish with crab. We went to the Seattle Fish Market, picked up some amazing crab. So the word of the week is crab. Use that somehow down in the comments, and the internet randomizing website-y machine algorithm such will maybe choose you. And then I will respond to you, and I'll say, hey, your comment with the word crab in it was selected. How do I get this friggin' thing to you? I'll throw it in an envelope, I send it to your house, and then you can wear it and maybe, impress your friends. Or maybe you give it away on a future YouTube channel that you're not sure why people are subscribed to, but you're just appreciating that they're there. Because that's certainly what I'm doing. Have a good day. I'll look for you. I'll give this away. Stay safe out there.